All right, welcome back to the channel. Got my guy Steve Bradshaw from Fantasy Trading Room, the owner of the Fantasy Trading Room website, and the guy who runs the content on the Dynasty Trading Room YouTube channel for all your Dynasty fantasy football needs. I know there's other guys on the channel with you, but they're not ever on this channel, so you run the channel in my eyes. But the draft's approaching. We're a week away when this first video drops, and me and Steve are up here giving you guys our top 5 quarterbacks today. Saturday will be the top 8 running backs, and Wednesday before the draft will be the top 8 wide receivers. So we are coming in hot with some rankings for you guys. I know I got some spicy takes. I know my guy Steve has at least got some foot in the ground takes. But Steve, I gotta ask, how excited are you for the draft, man?
I'm absolutely pumped. I think this year I've covered the draft from a whole perspective other than just dynasty. Like, I've really dove into the defense as well as we're
Yeah.
doing more general stuff on fantasy trading room as well. With my job, I've been covering a ton of Bears mock drafts as well. So that's been a blast. I'm super pumped. I really wish I could be there because it's in Green Bay. But unfortunately, school is hating on me due to the fact that I already missed time to go to the combine and the Senior Bowl. So they're like, nah, three is pushing it. So
Yeah,
I'll be watching it from my couch.
don't get to go to the draft, but hopefully you're watching the Chicago Bears draft a player that you are a fan of. But today we're going to be talking about positions that the Chicago Bears will not be targeting, and that is the quarterback position. It is known as a weaker quarterback class, but like many classes, there are always gems. Steve, I'd imagine everybody at this point has the consensus number one quarterback in this draft class, but I'm going to kick it to you. Is Cam Ward your QB1?
He is, but Ward and Sanders are a lot closer to me than it seems like NFL GMs believe they are.
Okay.
I like Sanders, but after watching the tape more on Ward, I think he definitely does do a lot of little things right. And we can just dive right into Ward right now if you want, but
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
problems I have with Ward still consist. I think he is just so reckless with the ball. You turn on the film and you'll see him make ridiculous throws across his body. And I'm not talking like he will make a bunch of good plays, but some of the time, I mean, I'll see him roll out and chuck the ball 50 yards downfield in a triple coverage. And it's like, what are we doing? He does that very often. He only really had like 5 or 7 picks, but had a lot more turnover worthy plays. And that's something that I think you're going to kind of have to live with. You could definitely see that becoming a fine trade of his. Like Jordan Love's a gunslinger too. I think he's the best example of a high end Ward comp, and that's fine. But I also see I see a little bit of Will Levis in him going to the Titans, and that scares me. So that's why, I mean, his arm talent, his creativity is fantastic. He does a really good job actually playing with timing as well. So he does a lot of things right, but he just has that bust meter that I can't shake, and I'm a little scared taking it at pick 1. I would
Yeah,
be much more comfortable if he was like, pick 5. That would be a lot better for me.
yeah. So see, you're a little lower on Ward than I am. I'm comfortable with him at 101, especially if you're Tennessee. I just think, especially in Tennessee's situation, a very winnable division. And if you can get the best out of Cam Ward, I do think he could be a top 15 guy in this league. You talked about Jordan Love. I think he's pretty easily in people's top 15. So if Ward can reach that ceiling with what Tennessee's defense was last year, they could easily be a playoff team this year. But I will say, you were correct on the analysis of some of the recklessness. Cam Ward is mobile, but you can tell watching him play, he does want to throw the football and he does like to play hero ball a little bit. He's not always waiting for the next down or living for the next play. It's kind of can be an all or nothing spot for him from time to time, which I think is easily coachable out. The one thing that you didn't mention with Cam Ward that I absolutely love, I think with a clean pocket, this guy was far and away the best in college football, in my opinion. He just was so relaxed back there. And I'm not saying he's going to live up to these guys, but it's Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels esque, where sometimes it just feels like they're playing the game at a slower speed than everybody else on the football field. And I do see superstar potential in Cam Ward to a higher level than it appears you see it in him, because I'm fully comfortable taking him at the 101. It's a weaker quarterback draft class, and we could talk about that for days. Where would he have gone last year? Probably fourth or fifth. That's fine. But that was last year. And the reality is, this is this year. And to me, Cam Ward is the clear 101. I think the mobility is strong with him. I think the relaxedness in the pocket, he is just a calm thrower of the football in a clean pocket. It is just so effortless, the touch on the ball that he throws to. But, you know, like a lot of college players, we talked about this with Caleb Williams. I remember vividly last year. They just fall into hero ball sometimes because they're just so used to being the most dominant, best player on the field.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Caleb thing because I was actually just going to bridge off that because I heard a lot of that narrative last year. But I think the thing with Caleb and why I'm a little bit more concerned is because his offensive line and his offense was so good. Caleb, I mean, he had to play hero ball.
Yeah.
There was he had to put up 40 points every game. He had no defense. In the last year he was there, he had really no weapons. Ward had everything. He had the opportunity to just live for the next down, and he was in very winnable games, but he really couldn't reel it back in and control himself. And I think with Williams, at least we saw him be much more careful in a better situation when he was thrown to Jordan Addison and all those
Yep.
guys in 2023. Ward, this has always been a problem, and while he's been better, it's like you've seen the recklessness for all 4 years of his college career. So that's why I question if once he gets to the NFL and it's even tougher, can he just turn that switch off? I don't know. And that's why I
I
have
think that's a
questions on
fair
him at the 101.
it's a fair concern. So Ward, a reluctant quarterback one for you. Who do you have as the quarterback two in the class?
Yeah, so my QB2 is Shedeur Sanders, and he's a guy that I've really liked. I think he gets overhated a lot just because if you know how he approaches the game, the family name. And it is what it is at this point. But it's kind of funny because you would think with all the flash Sanders plays with and the name and the hype, he would be like the boom bust guy. But I think Cam Ward, and also I do believe Cam Ward could be a top 10 quarterback. I just think he also has a good shot of being a out of the league quarterback in a few years. Sanders, I feel like is much closer to becoming a, QB 15 to QB 18 guy after year one. Like I see him becoming a middle of the pack kind of guy that is, you're more of a game manager who's not going to take over the game and win you might not win you a game by himself, but he's also not going to lose you the game by himself like Cam Ward might. So that's my take. I think he's great when he has good weapons. I would really like to see him go to the Giants at 3 because despite their roster being, having a few holes, they have got. I think Neighbors needs someone to distribute him the ball.
Yep.
I think him and Sanders would work very well. You have Tyrone Tracy, who's pretty solid. I mean, you hopefully get another weapon in the draft outside of Wan'Dale Robinson, who's not bad either. So,
I mean, I like
you know,
Slayton. I like Hyatt. I think people acting
yeah,
like the Giants is a terrible landing spot is crazy. You get Malik Neighbors, who's a top 10 receiver in the game, and Brian Daboll, who shaped Josh Allen and got Daniel Jones his best season ever. So to think that the Giants can't get the best out of a quarterback is a different situation. I have Shedeur as my quarterback 3 in this class, but I do agree with you that he's a bit overhated. I have a late first round grade on him. And just with the quarterback position and the way it is, ultimately, I'm not going to crush a team for reaching on him. I do think 3 would be a little steep for the Giants personally. But what I do love about Shedeur Sanders is even behind a bad offensive line in Colorado, and with Travis Hunter really being the only premier weapon there, the completion percentage was still over 70% this year. I think that's a key figure that I look for. He's a guy who is able to get the ball out even when pressured. He has a hell of a deep ball on him. Like the guy can throw the ball deep for sure. And it's weird because we all, associate Sanders with Deion Sanders and the athlete he is. Shedeur is much more of a pocket passer. He can run, but he is much more comfortable in the pocket and willing to stand in the pocket. He's kind of a throwback in terms of quarterbacks, truthfully. Like, this is a guy who, if he had it his way, would have run the ball maybe once or twice a game, but he wants to just stand back in the pocket and absolutely sling it. I think he's overhated. I have him as my QB3 though. My QB2 is Jaxson Dart. Is Jaxson Dart your QB3?
He's not, and
Okay,
I'm
so
close on the
uh,
two guys at 3 and 4.
okay, so we'll wait to hear your three. Let's talk about Dart for a second because I have Dart at 2, and Dart and Shedeur are very close to me. But I would lean Dart because I think the ceiling is higher. I think what you said about Shedeur being, around the 15th best quarterback in football is fair. And I believe that Shedeur is a guy who could come into the NFL in year 1 and have more success than Jaxson Dart. In an ideal situation, Jaxson Dart's redshirted his first year, in my opinion. But he has, in my estimation, a stronger arm than Shedeur. He's got a better frame than any quarterback in this draft class, and he's got some wheels on him. He's got a little bit of a mix of somewhere around the Justin Herbert rushing ability, where nobody ever talks about Herbert's run ability, but then sometimes you'll check the box score and you'll be like, damn, Herbert did run for 45 yards. And Jaxson Dart isn't afraid to put his head down and go through a defender. There were a couple highlights that I saw at Ole Miss this year and a couple plays where I was like, Jaxson Dart just big bodied that man. And I think he's got good mobility. My biggest concern with Dart is just the IQ, the football IQ, and his ability to read defenses. I believe the game was against Miami this year, and Jaxson Dart threw like 3 interceptions on back-to-back-to-back plays, and he just crumbled. It was a big time game against a big time opponent. The lights got bright, and he absolutely crumbled in a big spot. And then Ole Miss didn't get to the playoffs, and they're a team that should have gotten to the playoffs. So there are some concerns there, but it is a pick based on intangibles that I would lean Dart if I trusted my system and was willing to let him sit for a year. Like, you talk about the Giants, and again, I don't think at 3, but if they traded back up into the first round and had him sit behind Russell Wilson for a year, if Pittsburgh drafted him and brought in Aaron Rodgers for a year, a landing spot that I just mocked in my recent mock draft for Jaxson Dart that I'd be in love with was the Rams taking him and having him sit behind Matthew Stafford for a year and letting McVay build him up and Puka, Kyron Williams. Like, that would be ideal, obviously, for any rookie quarterback, but especially Jaxson Dart. What are your thoughts on Dart? Because you have him as 4?
Yeah, he's my
Okay.
QB4. Yeah, no, going back to that, it was the game against Florida, week 11. Where,
That's the game.
Yeah, he just...
I knew it was a Florida team. Got the wrong one.
Yeah, no, and he showed his true colors, in my opinion. Exactly what you said. He doesn't process reads well. He has talent. Sure, I think his arm strength is really good. I think it's better than Sanders. I think he's mobile. Everything you said, I agree with. But he's playing in that Ole Miss offense, which did not ask him to do much. I rarely saw him throw over the middle of the field and make more than one read. And I'll tell you, after watching every single Justin Fields game, being able to do those two things, if you can't do that, it doesn't matter if you can be a great athlete. And Fields is a much better athlete than Dart. He has great tools. You're going to be out of the league in a few years. So, he is, I guess Fields is a starter now, but at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, Fields just got 40 mil.
Maybe out of the league is a bit of a stretch, but you're going to have a ton of trouble in the NFL is a better word. And I just don't really, I get the upside, but Sanders, I would much rather take a guy that I know can start for my team. I think the upside there's a lower shot that he hits in my opinion.
I have Dart and Sanders very close in my estimation, and I do think based on team and what they need in the moment, I'm willing to hear Shedeur Sanders over Jaxson Dart. An example of this would be the New Orleans Saints, who are rumored to be in on a quarterback at pick number 9. Derek Carr wants out. So if Derek Carr is off the team and you need, Spencer Rattler is the option, take Shedeur. He's going to give you a better shot to win this season. Absolutely. But if I got some runway and I could go with a vet this year, I'm going Jaxson Dart. Who was your quarterback 3? So you had Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, Blanket 3, and then Jaxson Dart. Who slotted in between Shedeur and Dart for you?
Yeah, so I want to kind of hear your thoughts on this process as well, because my QB3 is Jalen Milroe. Not by a large amount, but I have
Milroe at 4. I have
Okay.
Milroe at 4, so I'm right there with you in terms of proximity.
I'm not sure if you're just not as high on the upside of Milroe because, I mean, realistically, from a traits perspective, I think Milroe blows Dart out of the water in every category.
I
He's
think in
an
terms of
elite.
upside, Jalen
Yeah.
Milroe has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this draft class, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of
No,
work
I
to be
agree.
done, but with the traits he already has and the athleticism and speed, it could be Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. No, he could be a Lamar Jackson type runner on the ground for sure. Justin Fields type runner on the ground. Dart, I don't think he has, and that's one elite trait. I don't think Dart, he might have plus arm strength, which is probably his best trait, but I don't think he has elite, trait anywhere else. Milroe also has an unreal arm. He's also very athletic. He really does show flashes of him showing good touch and everything else that you could want in a quarterback. It's just the consistency
Yeah.
is really bad. But I also don't really care if when Dart is beating up on smaller teams and then he faces real competition
Well, that
and
was the thing
he's
that was so
dominating.
puzzling with Milroe was you watched him shred Georgia's defense,
Right.
but then you saw mistakes versus Vanderbilt. And you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't really care like at that point. Like I would rather look at a guy that can he beat closer to NFL level defense. And with Milroe, the answer is yes. Dart, I don't think he can because the processing, Milroe can process at times at least. It's just the inconsistency is wildly bad. Like he will make some of the worst decisions. He will have no touch on the ball
Yeah.
for 5 straight throws after he just had 5 unreal throws. But if you're like kind of just push back, if your argument on Dart is just the upside in the class, why not take a shot on Milroe then?
Well, so I think Dart is more NFL ready, and I think a lot of that does have to do with, I do trust that if he was in the right system, he could be a great thrower of the football in year one. And I don't think Milroe is quite there yet. I think that it is certainly a project, and uh, the size worries me a little bit. I feel like there's some risk for injury there, whereas Jaxson Dart, you're talking about these NFL offensive lines and seeing over these massive humans. There's no concern there for Dart. There's not really a full concern there for Milroe, but it is just a little bit of a separator when we're talking about these guys. Truthfully, I am fine going Milroe. The question that I have is, as a passer, when I'm watching Milroe play and his best plays, they seemed to always come from Ryan Williams. And I left watching Milroe's tape thinking, damn, Ryan Williams is good. And, when you leave a quarterback tape session more focused on a wide receiver, I have some question marks about what would this guy be without him. And at the end of the day, I think Cam Ward is the most NFL ready guy. He's my tier one. And in tier two, I have Dart, Sanders, Milroe. I'm fine with realistically whoever you want to take that fits your scheme. It's why I had Pittsburgh mock take Milroe over Dart, because I think Pittsburgh, watching Lamar Jackson all these years, might have a lean to that kind of player because they see what he could become.
Mhm.
Um, but I think really this is going to be a tale as old as time, and it's going to be landing spot when it comes to these quarterbacks. But Milroe, easily the best rushing quarterback in this entire draft class. There's not a sniff of competition there. The runs he could break off is just insane. You said you think he could be as good of a rusher as Justin Fields. I think he's already better than Justin Fields, truthfully, as a rusher. Got good arm, but we got to work on, similar to Dart, just reading defenses, IQ, and similar to Cam Ward, living for the next down. I just think for him, there's a lot of boxes to check in developing him as a passer that I think Dart has checked some of those boxes, but it's really just a mental thing for him.
Yeah,
Who's your
that's fair.
so who's your QB5? Who do you got rounding this out?
Oh, That's a tough one for me, and
I,
I'm actually going back and forth between two names. So not
there is a
too
drop off in my opinion.
yeah,
This
no,
is
for
this
sure.
is a new tier.
Yeah, I agree. My QB5 though, I think from what I'm hearing, consensus has Tyler Shuck at QB3 or QB5, and I do like Shuck a bit. I think he's my six, but my QB5 is Kyle McCord from Syracuse
I have
still.
the exact same list. I have
Really?
McCord and then
Okay,
Shuck as well. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I mean, with McCord, so going back on him, he actually has pretty prototypical size, and he's going to get knocked a lot by. He was pretty bad at Ohio State. I think that's the main issue you have is he wasn't productive when he was at the top level competition. He transfers
Yep.
down to Syracuse, and then he balls out. With McCord, I really everything I've heard is just an issue of confidence. And I think the moment he didn't have to be the guy, he didn't have sky high expectations. He just played free. And when he played free, I mean, he made some really good throws. Like as a
Oh yeah.
passer, I don't really like sure, his arm might not be a Cam Ward or even
Do you
maybe
think he's
definitely worse
more
than Dart as
accurate
well.
than any of the other quarterbacks we mentioned so far? Because
Uh
his accuracy on film, it was up there with Sanders and Ward
yeah.
for me for
No,
sure.
I think it's better than both Milroe for sure, and probably Dart as well. I would
Yeah,
say
he
it's
screams Brock Purdy 2.0 to me.
yes,
Like that is
yes.
I I've seen that comp online and I thought it watching the tape. I think there's a reason just everybody consensusly landed there, but McCord looks like Purdy 2.0. And man, I'll tell you what, if San Francisco wanted to spend a draft pick on him and not pay Purdy and just kind of reset that clock, I think they could live on it, truthfully.
That's not crazy to say at all. I think the thing with McCord is now that he's in a situation to where he doesn't hit, no matter what, he's gonna be a day 3 pick in my opinion. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, he's gonna be able to play free, which is what he needs. He's not gonna have high expectations. Anything he does at that point is, you know, better than what you'd expect. So
Oh,
with
speaking of the
that,
draft.
yeah. So with that, I mean, I I really like him there as a shot in the dark.
The one thing that I'll say, at least on the tape that I noticed, was I thought he lingered a little bit too much on his first read. I thought he made some really nice throws into tight spaces, but I think some of the times he put himself in a position where he had to because he had kind of predetermined where he wanted to go with the football. And NFL defenses will make you pay for that a lot more than college defenses will. So that is something that, if he gets as lucky as Brock Purdy to go to a Kyle Shanahan system where it's, hey, this is the breed, make the throw, he'll be open, and they're open most of the time, that would be fantastic for him. But if he doesn't, I think there could be, you know, a floor as low as Kenny Pickett, where you're kind of like, it's a solid backup quarterback, which, talking about a day 3 pick in a weaker quarterback class, I think is fair. So my list: Cam Ward 1, Jaxson Dart 2, Shedeur Sanders 3, Jalen Milroe 4, Kyle McCord 5. Steve has Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders 2, Jalen Milroe 3, Jaxson Dart 4, Kyle McCord 5. Those are the quarterback lists. As always, be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Steve's website and channel will be linked in the description. Be sure to check those out. Seriously, Dynasty rookie drafts are on the way, and we're talking in a small sample here. There is player profiles. There is so much content on their channel. You guys have to check that out if you are looking to dominate your rookie drafts this upcoming season. Steve, appreciate you joining us, and listen, we'll be back in 2 days on the channel with running back rankings, wearing the same outfits because we're about to record that right now.